Wow, I need a haircut. I'm gonna do a project file breakdown today of Our World's We Nurture, which is a video that I highly recommend. I'm not gonna spoil anything about in this video because you need to go watch it if you haven't. It's a really great video about just the progression of life, and there's a lot of things in there that I can't really put into a box. You need to kind of watch it to understand it. But anyway, let's jump right in. It's music time, gang. Alrighty, so if you look here, this is like a really odd looking project file. There's like multiple segments, and each of these segments are actually like different songs or like tracks that I used in the video. I wanted it to kind of have a consistent sound, so there are a lot of different instruments that are slightly reused in certain parts, with maybe some different mixing behind them, but these are all the different passages. This one's the intro, this is curiosity, this is growth, and this is understanding. And this right here was actually, I made this because I was like, oh, I'll do an intro before I start speaking where it's just musical, and I'll do a couple shots with like maybe some like effects credits, but I never did that. But it sounds like this. Yeah, and then that was going to lead into this right here. I don't know what this section was going to be, but it's kind of cool to listen to. You know, you have this big, like, sauce chords that go into here. And those are really cool. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to break down this thing right here. So what I did actually is I implemented both the voiceover, which there's two instances of, but they're mixed in different ways. There's a lot of mixing that went into this thing that I'm gonna refrain from explaining because mixing just takes a while to explain. So the main progression here is I wanted it kind of to sound like each of these like tiny like notes were kind of continuously making a harmony. So like it's 4 different notes in like a, you know, kind of 4 chord progression, but each time they loop around, a new note is added. So, and this is actually a really beautiful layer of 2, I believe. I'm wrong? I'm never wrong. This is impossible. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so firstly, there's this thing right here, which is just the pluck, which is the serum, which is this, with no effects on it. And I believe it has reverb right here on it. Yeah, the Valhalla, the good old Valhalla vintage verb. That's there. And then there's also this thing, which I love this thing from Labs. It sounds like this. It's the Arctic Swells preset. It's just so beautiful. Like, it's so vast and beautiful, and like you're definitely like, you know, you can imagine kind of like a panning shot of the Arctic with this thing going, right? And that is the only main thing here. There's also this thing that's creeping up, the bells, which sound like this. It's just playing a fifth, and they're like slowly creeping in. And it's also, there's the trick where like when the notes hit, it's super mono and there's no reverb. And like as they keep playing, the reverb creeps in and the mono creeps in, but when they hit another note, it goes off and on, kind of like that, just to really solidify the hitting of each note. And there's also the atmosphere right here too, which sounds like this, which is a serum, I believe. Yeah, atmosphere 18. It's from like the noise thing. If you go through noise and you go to soar, there's like a bunch of different atmosphere and like really crazy atmospheres to pick from. The Horns of Fear, Bone Crusher. But that's the main majority of this part right here. And then that leads into here, which sounds like this. Which I thought sounded really cool. There's a lot of really cool things kind of going into this. Firstly, you have this. Which is like really hardly audible. But so there's this sine hit that you can hear right here. Not there. There we go. That's a good area to hit it. But yeah, there's this, it's a basic sine hit. There's a volume automation for it, there's a serum mix for it, and there's also a reverb mix knob going up and down. So it's like dry, and then you can kind of hear it. You can see it right here in the transients. And that kind of adds like a really kind of like ghostly hit to the thing. And then there's also this thing, which is the sub hit. Which sounds like that. Which kind of gives like a little bit of a glitch to the click. So to get the like perfect kind of like click sound, you need like a transient right before the hit. So like if I were to not have this, it'd sound like this, right? It just kind of sound like a, but if you put this right before it, it sounds like a click. Because a click is like two hits really, really close to each other. And people do that in a lot of like modern percussion, especially in like clap percussion, so that like it sounds kind of pre-shifted. That's how you get that pre-shifted sound in like a kick clap percussion. But then also there's the piano, which is this right here, which has the same concept as the sub hit right here, where it's like low volume, low mix, and low like reverb. And I think this one also has, yeah, this one also has a mono to wide automation going as well. And the vinyl crackle is also following this rule as well. But that was right here, but I exported it into volume just to see which parts were louder and which parts were. And this part was really quiet, so I turned it up a little bit. But I believe this piano is just the Labs soft piano, yeah. But yeah, put it all together and you get the really cool. And if you hear like right here, it gets really fizzy, and that's because it's a different vinyl crackle that had a bit more like noise to it. I wanted that for the ending, so it sounded like it's kind of building up. And then you also have this sound effect, which guess what? This is actually in the Worlds Live show by Porter Robinson. If you haven't seen Worlds by now, I'm gonna highly recommend this. Listen to the album and then watch the live show. But those who have seen the live show know this sound. For good reason. It's the very start of the show. And this is the thing that plays. And something that I think is really funny is Porter definitely used Fruity Loop Studio as his DAW for like a majority of his projects. And you can find a lot of like the sounds that were from Worlds in the Fruity LSD patch, which how you get to that is you go to LSD, which is right here. And it's actually, oddly enough, a plugin. And what you do is you route the plugin to channel 10 where MIDI out is, and then from there you can like browse all these different kind of like synthetic sounding instruments that are really cool. Like you have Celestia right here, which sounds kind of like this. But as soon as I played like this note, I was like, oh shit, that's what that is. That's the world's intro sound. I was trying to recreate it, and then I was like, wait, no, the sound is just right in Fruity LSD, which is where a large percent of like world sounds are too. I believe brightness is also another sound in there. Like, let me show you brightness. So yeah, brightness is another sound, and this is... If you don't know what that sound is, then let me play it for you. Yeah, that's in there too. So yeah, for those who are worlds enjoyers and want to go fuck around with those sounds, it's literally in a free plugin, but it's like a weird Easter egg because it's an effects plugin that you need to route to MIDI out to be able to play. But when you do, it's then like a preset picker for like a bunch of really old kind of synthetic instrument sounds. But there's so many different world sounds in it. And I was like, okay, a lot of the theme for Our Worlds We Nurture pulls from that. So I was like, okay, let's just grab some sounds from there. And then I found Celestia, and I was like, oh shit, that's that sound. And I was like, perfect, I'll use that right at the beginning. And if you really want to understand like why Celestia is like right here, I'll play a quick clip from Worlds Live, which is the beginning of Worlds Live, which is this. It's right there. It's just right there for you to have. I thought that was kind of cool. All right, but moving on, we have, firstly, let me mute these voice lines. We have Curiosity. So Curiosity, my friend, Curiosity, my boy, is basically, this is just Divinity, which is a layer of two. If you only hear the piano at the beginning, because the layer slowly comes in, but once you get here, you get the full layer of the two, which is it's a synth and the piano. This is the piano, and this is the synth. Sounds really nice, really wide, really beautiful. Yeah, I paired them together and it sounds like this. But yeah, and then you also have this little melody thing that I played. And we're using more Arctic swells here. And then there's also the classic 7th chord that's played in Divinity. But my goal for to build this track was to very much kind of just like, I wanted to construct what Curiosity was, like at its core and how it felt for me. And Divinity was like such a vast, beautiful world that was just completely, well, it's part of an album called Worlds, but like that, and in combination with, there's a Skyrim track called Far Horizon, which was the first track I heard coming out of the little cave from Helgen when you enter like the overworld, and this is the main motif for it. And it's in a different key just to match the Divinity key, but I thought that sounded really cool. And I put it in there and I was like, wow, this is a really cool kind of combination of Skyrim and Worlds coming together, which are like two of my favorite things. And also you have the cello progression right here, which sounds like this on its own. Which is really beautiful. I believe it's missing top notes here. Yeah, it doesn't play those notes. It only goes up to high C, so I could have just deleted those notes, but who cares? It's still the same chords, regardless. And I also thought to implement my voice in here, so here's me singing. And I'm not like singing, I'm not like enunciating the words. The actual lyrics are lean into my side, never felt alive, call the chance inside, we will wait for this, we will wait for this. But like I knew what Amy Millan was singing in the actual song Divinity, but I wanted to kind of sing, but like not like define the actual words. I kind of wanted it to be like you're singing, but it's like kind of these like wispy voices of like gibberish singing. I find that really cool. Coraline, there's a track in if you've ever seen the movie Coraline, it's filled with like gibberish vocals that are really, I think, like gibberish vocals, and they just sound cool. Like that's a really cool concept to me, but I did that. Thank you, strings. But yeah, I thought that was really beautiful. But yeah, like Alone sounds like this. They're like a bunch of differing harmonies that I kind of added, that I kept hearing, that I implemented, and I solidified, that I thought sounded really cool. But there is a lot of sounds to make this thing sound really vast. Here's what it sounds like all together. Like there's this build, there's this like slight kind of build to it. Sounds like this. But it just sounds super vast, super beautiful, and I mean, it's the chord progression of Divinity, so what did I expect? But yeah, also, I added this thing, which is rocking the Skyrim motif, and it is slowly but surely going really mono to really wide. So like right here, it sounds like this. But then right here, it's really wide, and then it goes back to mono. But it sounds kind of like an Oppenheimer lead, which I'm pretty sure that's all they did. They just took like a saw wave, maybe with like a little bit of variance here, and distorted it and mixed it a little bit. Like without the distortion, it sounds like this. This is a little dull, and then you add the distortion. And it's really bright. I'm guessing like what I've found is that to make a really good like visceral sound, you need like a lot of coherent like automation of like multiple levels of automation, that being like compression, reverb, volume, and distortion, all working to help the sound swell in a way. But I didn't have time. This was a project that I did in 2 weeks, and I made music, wrote the writing for it, and shot the shots for it, and threw it together as fast as I could, but at the same time with good quality. I think this works real well. No Earth. Thanks, No Earth. But then at the end right here, it's just a little bit of a... just these playing. They're kind of wide and a bit more, like there's no low end to them. And then you get gibberish vocals again. Ooh. But yeah, that was pretty beautiful. And now we're at growth. Which is the Sea of Voices progression. I did my best. There was no tutorial on like how the Sea of Voices progression was like made, so I kind of had to just like hear it. And this is what like I came up with, which is this with 2 pads. There's this haunting hour thing right here, I believe is when it's loudest. You can hear it. It sounds like this. And it's a flex preset. And I thought that sounded really beautiful. But also on top of this, which is this very kind of dull pad, like without the filter, it sounds like this, which is very bright, which is not what we're looking for. And with this layered, it's this really beautiful atmosphere. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. And then there's this ARP thingy, which is kind of me trying to recreate that like from the actual track Sea of Voices. It sounds like this. Which is like slowly coming into the horizon here. And also, this is a combination of Sea of Voices with Unfold, because Unfold, the track itself has a lot of themes that like resonated with me and this project, so I thought I'd like implement it. And also I was like, that's kind of like a perfect melody to put on top of Sea of Voices. Yeah, the motif sounds like this. But yeah, that is like slowly, like it's very, very tiny in the background back here. It sounds like that. Like you can kind of hear it. Like just barely. But the main thing with this track is it is like slowly kind of building. And then when it gets here, there's strings that get implemented. Which gets to this part. And you also have this thing right here, which is like this really kind of just like this, you can hear it in Sea of Voices. I think it's fucking awesome. It's like this one lead that kind of triumphs over everything, but like leads the harmony. But it would not be as powerful without all the things behind it. And it sounds really cool. Oh, and I also added this stuff, which is the Labs Micah's Choir, which sounds amazing, and I use it all the time. But yeah, exiting out, you get this. And you already know the writing behind it. The writing, I'm not going to explain. There's a lot that goes into the writing. But then you get Understanding, which is my favorite chapter. And it sounds like this. Which was really fun to make. And it's so you take this, like notice how it's like really dry, right? Sounds like that. So what I did is, there you are, is there's reverb on it that I took off, that I turned on when I made these things. So like this reverse sounds like that, but if you unreverse it and just do this, it sounds like this. Which is basically just this with a bunch of reverb on it. I exported that WAV file, reversed it, and so it kind of reverses back into itself. And it's like this really nice flowing thing. Kind of like how Wind Tempos actually is. Yeah, if you put the reverb on it, it sounds like that. But we want this one to be dry and this one to be reverby. And it like moves into itself. I thought that was a really kind of cool sound. And then when I came over here, we're back in the forest. And all these sounds that you're hearing, like all of these, because like, I cannot tell you how much I love the actual track Wind Tempos, which is on the album Nurture, which is the second album that Porter made. And there's a third one coming out called Smile, which I am hella looking forward to. It sounds so cool and fun. But Nurture, the song Wind Tempos is on Nurture, and Wind Tempos is my favorite song ever. And I'm very confident to say this. Nothing has ever made me feel like Wind Tempos, ever. Like, in my entire life. It's musical peace. It is literally musical peace. I cannot tell you and describe to you how much I love Wind Tempos, which is a lot. I love Wind Tempos so much. The thing is like simplistic, but not. It's like very far from simplistic, actually. The thing, like it's got this meandering piano piece, and it just keeps going, and like there's so much subtlety in everything that happens throughout the entirety of it, and it is constantly evolving and changing and doing things that you don't really expect it to do while still staying in that core foundation, kind of like how actual nature does. I loved this track so much. Like so much. Not like this one that I made is just kind of like a cheap knockoff of the actual track. The actual track is phenomenal, and I highly recommend that if you liked the Understanding chapter, you're going to absolutely love the actual track, because the actual track is the best song ever, in my opinion. It's phenomenal. Oh yeah, also there's me singing again. No auto-tune, baby. But it's just little things. The little things. Like it's the core foundation is like set, and it's just like little things that change every so often, just little by little. And that's nature. Like if you look at a field of grass, little things just change all the time, just little by little. But like the foundation, the core foundation is still there. It's so good. It's so good. They also got these little bell things that come in as well. Oh, also I forgot to mention the piano hit is mono, and it like, or actually no, this reverb hit right here is mono and no reverb, and it slowly goes up in reverb and down. Or maybe this reverb mix is applied to the actual the plain chords. I don't know. Things are happening, man. Things are happening. Oh yeah, and then a bass comes in, and there's a little like that melody that plays. And if you listen to the actual track, this thing is so, it happens every so often. It's like the right around here is when it implements in, but like I kind of did my own rendition of it. And then you also got this part, which I definitely, like, these aren't the right chords. I tried to do my own like interpretation of what the chords were and how he implemented them, but this is my interpretation of it, and it sounds like this. Good. It's so good. This is garbage. What I made is absolute baloney. Go check the actual track out, Wind Tempos by Porter Robinson. It is my favorite track ever. And if you loved this, or this feeling, you're going to love that track. That track is so goddamn good. It's the best track ever. It is the best song ever, in my opinion. That is the best song ever. Wind Tempos, Porter Robinson. Go check it out now. If I didn't make it clear, I'm making it clear now. Go check it out. The track does the same thing as the actual song, and it exits into this solo. Which is originally on a piano, but I put it on this swirly, super soft, whirly DI kind of labs preset. Kind of sounds like a Rhodes type deal. But like, this piano solo is like one of my favorite piano solos ever, dude. It's so good. But yeah, it plays through the whole thing, and then eventually it leads to this passage right here, which is beautiful. There are like kind of slight changes between each of these chords. Like the bass line changes a little bit, and then we're back here to this one. And then we're to this one now. You can hear the variation happening, because what I did is I did the same thing that I did with this thing, and I, you know, like it's dry right now, but then if you put reverb on it, export that, reverse it, and then turn it into that, which sounds like this. I did the same thing for each of these chords individually, so sometimes you get like a reversed note like this. Like right there, and then you get these two. Which sounds really cool. And then slowly but surely, you get back here. Which I love, like little musical details that like you don't notice unless you're actually making the music. But this chord that it resolves to, it doesn't really resolve to it, but it goes here, is the original Wind Temples chord. Like this chord is the same as the chord that started the song. And I thought that was a really nice detail. But then it goes down to like uber resolve, so that it is now just 2 C sharps and 2 A sharps. But then that's it. That's what I did musically for Our World's Renurture. Thank you so much for coming to my musical TED Talk. I had so much fun making this. This project means a lot to me, and I put a lot of time, effort, and care into this thing, so I really hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope you took something away from it. There's so much about this world that is extremely beautiful, and I think sometimes it's really easy to forget that. If any of this resonated with you, it's straight from Porter Robinson. So firstly, go fucking listen to Porter Robinson. I'm talking Worlds, I'm talking Nurture, I'm talking Smile when it comes out in June or July sometime. Thank you so much. This has been Our Worlds We Nurture music breakdown by me, highly inspired by Porter Robinson. A lot of the music theory is just literally verbatim Porter Robinson. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I'll catch you later.